629-888-3931. Quinn hit us up. Wants to talk a little Miami Hurricanes and how he's feeling about what they bring back or don't bring back in that receiver room.
What's up, JD? This is Quinn. I'm a fan of the Miami Hurricanes. The one thing that I'm most stressed about, at the conclusion of spring for the Miami season is the lack of experience, on the offensive side for our weapons. I mean, we have our top four guys leaving, going to the NFL, and there's no doubt we don't have talent in Malachi Tony, JoJo Trader, CJ Daniels. He has some potential for us, but I'm kind of worried with the lack of experience we have for Carson Beck after the type of season Carson Beck had with the Georgia wide receivers. So that's one thing I'm obsessed about for this upcoming season for Miami.
Quinn, it's a fair point. It's a very fair point. And I had a pastor say this. Your feelings, while they're not all the time reliable, they're always real. So, Quinn, how you feel about this? It's real. You lost a lot with no Restrepo, no more Jacoby George. Isaiah Horton transfers to Bama. And you bring in a Carson Beck, and you're like, this is awesome. We got a quarterback to spin it, but I mean, who's he throwing to? I love Malachi Tony. I love Josiah Trader, but we even had Mario Cristobal on the show. Go check out that interview if you haven't already. We had him on the show, and we asked him, hey, who excites you about that receiver group? And we mentioned those young bucks, and he said, those guys you just mentioned excite me, but we got to see them actually do it in the game. I'm not going to crown them right now before we actually have them play some meaningful football. Now, Josiah Trader played a little bit as a freshman, but they expect a lot from him here in 2025. I've been told he's an absolute guy, so take of that as you will. What I will say, Quinn, is I really appreciate the awareness from Mario Cristobal and everyone at Miami to say, yeah, we probably got to go to the portal. Yeah, we probably got to make sure we pack this suitcase here with a little bit more content. So you go get a CJ Daniels from LSU. Before LSU, CJ Daniels was a 1,000-yard receiver at Liberty with Caden Salter. So it went how it went at LSU, but that's a guy who's got a lot of production to his name. And then we mentioned in this last segment, you went out and got Keelan Marion, which I absolutely love because it's never a good idea to just assume that you've packed enough before heading somewhere. And you'll know what we've all done this. You just kind of throw some things in a duffel bag. You got a couple pairs of jeans, maybe a T-shirt, a toothbrush, and you show up and it's like, shoot, third day, you're already on your third pair of shorts and you've already used your socks that you've had for the entire trip and you're in trouble. Like, you probably could have been okay with Malachi Tony and Josiah Trader, but you brought in Carson Beck not just to be okay and maintain. You brought in Carson Beck to elevate. And so to go to the portal, to get some pieces to go with him, okay, awesome. It's better to have it and not need it. It's better to have a CJ Daniels and not need him to have 1,000 yards because of what Tony is and Josiah Trader is and what Shannon Dawson designs his offense to be than to be out there and, entering into the first week of November and say, not only are we dinged up at receiver, we don't have a ton of high-end talent. Like, we brought in Carson Beck, paid him what we paid him, and now we're sitting here being a 7-8 win football team, which is no longer okay at Miami. I do think that it's worth unpacking just the reality of what Cam Ward was for you last year. This is not a Cam Ward segment, but when you look at what he was a season ago, as good as that wide receiver talent was, Cam Ward was really elite at elevating everyone's play. Xavier Restrepo, good receiver, better with Cam Ward. Jacoby George, same thing. And so I think your carriage is tied to your lead horses, is what I'm trying to say. Carson Beck and Shannon Dawson. Yeah, Carson Beck, what happened last year at Georgia wasn't awesome. It's not great to have your receiving core lead America in drops, but at Miami now, we are going to need you to be able to overcome some of the inexperiences we have in this room. We are going to need you to be the guy that we point to here in the fourth quarter and say, go win us a game, 11. Go get it done for us. Because that's what we brought you here to do. We brought you here to, honestly, revitalize, or not revitalize, but continue the upward trajectory of Miami football. And you came here to do that, but also to revitalize your career and your draft stock. You want to know how to revamp your draft stock? Go somewhere else and show them you weren't the problem. Go somewhere else and be the solution with some new receivers. In an offense where a dude who's now the number one overall pick in the NFL draft and Cam Ward thrived in. Like, I also think when you talk about Shannon Dawson, if he is who you believe he is, who he was a year ago, he's going to find a way to make this work. That's not saying the talent isn't good enough to get it done, but great coordinators, they get dudes open. If they get dudes open, they score points. Even when Tyler Van Dyke was there was a couple of games where you say, okay, Miami's got some juice. And then last year with Cam Ward, I mean, juice was all the way flowing when it came to what they were offensively. So last thought I have on this is, as much as the receiver room will have a large part in Miami's success in 25, there is no world that exists where Miami has a great year and Carson Beck is average. Like Carson Beck, you are the show, brother. There is no headline. There's no other headliners. There's no opening acts. It is you. We are going to sell as many tickets as you allow us to sell by the performance that you put on. Like Carson Beck's not going to go out there and go 20 touchdowns, 10 picks, and Miami wins 11 games and wins the ACC. Not going to happen. It's just not. And that's not dunking on Miami. That's just the way this whole thing is structured. Nobody's surprised by that. That's what Carson Beck came here to do. That's what Mario Cristobal brought him here to do. So I'm really excited to watch how it all unfolds. I understand the concern around the receiver room. My take is, though, I think it's good enough. I think it's good enough to where if Carson Beck is who you think he is and who you brought him in to be, and Shannon Dawson is who you think he is, who he was last year, those pieces I think are good enough to just take you from here up to here. And up to here is what you expect now at Miami, which is in itself a luxury. So, Quinn, thanks for calling. But we'll see how this thing looks in the fall. But my hope would still be in Carson Beck and Shannon Dawson, even with the inexperience at the wide receiver position.